It is 9 o'clock. Welcome to the Jackson County Board of Supervisors, June the 19th, 2023 meeting. We will start with our opening prayer.
Kelly. Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for blessing us to wake up this morning. Thank you for your blessing and keeping our families safe. Lord, I ask you to lead us in making the best decision for Jackson County. Lord, we thank you and ask you to continue to bless us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. We stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to start the meeting off with two public hearings. The first is tax increment financing plan for Canon Nissan, Canon Ford, Lincoln project.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Sue Fairbank with Butler Snow, and at your June 5th meeting, you adopted a resolution setting a public hearing for today to consider the approval of a tax increment financing plan for the Canon Ford Lincoln project in Moss Point, Mississippi. The City Council or the Board of Aldermen of Moss Point has already approved this plan, and this is a tax increment financing plan that allows for the issuance of tax increment financing bonds to pay for infrastructure improvements in connection with this project in the Moss Point area. So we're asking today that the board approve this plan, and this plan will allow Jackson County to participate in the payment from the increase in taxes that you would get from this project for the debt service on these bonds. So the notice was published in the papers as to the public hearing today, and so we need to open a public hearing to see if there's anyone here to speak about the plan.
Okay, great. Is there anyone present who would like to have a comment on this plan or tax increment financing, either for or against? No one to speak either for or against. Okay, do we have any comments?
Mr. Taylor, I have a resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Jackson County, Mississippi, approving the adoption of an implementation of the tax increment financing plan, Canon Nissan, Canon Ford, Lincoln project, Moss Point, Mississippi, June 2023, if the board sees fit to adopt that.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have a motion and a second?
Motion approved.
I'll make a second.
Somebody needs to make the motion. I was just reading the resolution.
Mr. Morris made the motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
And Mr. Bossart seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. So motion carries. Thank you very much.
And so the next one is the TIF plan for a similar project that is also a car dealership that is for Chief Automotive Group, and that includes the Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram dealerships. And so they're building out there as well in the same area as the Canon car dealerships is building, and this is a TIF plan for that project. Same way you set the public hearing for today, we published the notice, and so we need to open a public hearing on that TIF plan as well.
Yes. Okay, so this is a public hearing for the tax increment financing plan for Chief Automotive Group. Is there anyone here who would like to speak either for or against this plan? Going once, going twice, three times. Is there anyone here who would like to speak for or against the tax increment financing plan for Chief Automotive Group? Okay, Mr. Attorney?
Mr. Taylor, I have a resolution for the board to consider Resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Jackson County, Mississippi, approving the adoption of and implementation of the tax increment financing plan, Chief Automotive Group, Project Moss Point, Mississippi, June 2023.
Okay, we need a motion and a second.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Morris, I will second it. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Best of luck to y'all in these two efforts.
Thank you.
Okay, item 5 on our agenda is the Southern Mississippi Planning and Development District presentation. Mr. Bentz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you know, every year we come to you and give you the county services snapshot. Remember, this is for FY22. It won't be until 23, you'll see 23 because we work, kind of like a year behind given the snapshot. Each of you should have one of these at your desk. And you can see where $95,000 provided by Jackson County offered over $3.8 million in goods and services to the citizens of Jackson County. And I tell you every year that, it's a pretty good return on your investment. And to top that off, if we ask for an amount of money and we don't spend that money, we give that money back to the county. And I'm probably certain there's not many organizations that come before you that ask for money, and if they don't use it, they send it back. But we have the county's mind and interest, and of course the taxpayers, most importantly, in what you represent. It's a little breakdown. Over 48,000 home-delivered meals, 605 workforce program participants, over $540,000 in new loans generated in Jackson County, 223 jobs created by the 24 active loans that are here in Jackson County now, $2,000 in scholarships, of which I think right after this you're going to do your scholarship presentation. And I always like to make it known that those funds that are used to provide those scholarships are not any of that money we ask for from the county. It's program income that we've generated through SMPDD over the years, and the board was kind enough to give us the authority to create an endowment at our 3 community colleges in which we represent in our 15 county area. So I just like to put that, I think it's a great idea for counties to provide scholarships. I just didn't want people thinking we were coming up here giving out scholarships with the money that y'all give us. So it is a good program. Over the last 5 or 6, 7 years, we've given over $300,000 in scholarships out to throughout our 15 county service area. We are the largest planning and development district in the state. There's 10 of us, we encompass 15 of the 82 counties. I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Troy Ross, who is on our board of directors, and also Mr. Randy Bosarge, who is on our workforce local elected officials board of directors as well. We've got our staff here with us today. We've got Stephen O'Mara, who is our division director over business and government finance. Tanya Coyne, who is division department head over the aging. Robert Moore, senior services division director. Kristen Gunner, special projects division director. Allison Hawkins, economic development division director and workforce. And then Penny Patterson, who is a project manager on the economic development side. Did I miss anybody? Ashley Briscoe, our marketing manager, who y'all see in just a minute, who handles the scholarships. For the last several years, I've come and I've spoken to you regarding the other programs that we provide at SMPDD, and the board was kind enough to give us the authority to set up a municipal advisory company a couple, 4 or 5 years ago. And y'all, we've been saving our counties, our cities, our school districts, our utility authorities, our junior colleges, we've been saving them real money. I keep saying that. I say that every single year I come talk to you. If the board's interested in saving taxpayer dollars, I would really appreciate the opportunity for y'all to call Stephen, who is one of our municipal advisors, to sit down and visit with him. If not, If you don't want to use Southern Mississippi Planning and Development District's Municipal Advisors of Mississippi, that's fine. Use our numbers to get our competition's numbers down, which will get a better deal for the county as well. So I say that to y'all every single year. We are saving counties, cities, school districts real money. Our competition has not gone checked for over probably 25 years. We're in the market, we're creating market share, and we would love an opportunity to come sit down with you and show you how we can save the county real money. Not just a little money, real money. So I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.
I'm not going to ask a question, I don't think, but I'm going to make a comment.
Yeah.
And to add what you said, there's the magic 3 letters to bring the price down, or RFP. Anytime you do it, the price magically comes down, so you've got a good point with that. But I really wanted to comment on what I've watched at SMPDD and the culture that is over there. And it's one of those cultures where I've been able to see it firsthand. That if someone calls SMPDD and doesn't really know who to talk to or what the issue is, you don't get told this is the wrong place. You get told, let me help you figure out where we needed to get you. And it goes to the extent where there was a lady trying to go through school, nursing school. Was it William Carey? Somewhere up in that 67 area. Living in her car with her daughter, struggling to go to school. SMPDD got involved. They helped the lady not only finish school, but go get a job, get a house, and now the lady, I believe, probably is a nurse by now. But that is the kind of organization we're talking about here, and that's the culture we've got from the first person answering the phone all the way to the executive director. So being able to do these scholarships is another plus, helps people in our county, but SMPDD is an organization that you don't call and get told, call someone else. So we appreciate that.
Well, you know, I probably don't do a good enough job of telling our story, but I will tell you this, it's not me that does it. It's that team back there that gets it done. They're the brains behind they're the looks and the brains behind the operation, I tell everybody. So I appreciate those kind words. And, you know, our business model is to figure out ways to help our counties and municipalities in which we represent. And it's not about making money. We do have to make program income. But at the end of the day, it's about figuring out how to save taxpayers' money, because I don't believe governments were created to make people rich. And that's our goal, and I commit to you, if we can find a way to help you, we will be glad to do that. And I stand ready to answer any questions. Does any of the staff have anything? Everybody good? Allison, you good? Stephen?
Workforce side of it, the majority of these 223 jobs that were created are more than minimum wage. So I like for people to know that too, is that these are well-paying jobs that were created.
Oh, yeah. Allison would probably speak a little bit better to that than I could.
We definitely have threshold requirements for the training that we'll do. We don't want to, as someone once said, train people in poverty.
Right.
So we want to lift them out of it. So it's definitely, there's some thresholds there.
That's what I like about this part of it is that these jobs are more than minimum wage paying jobs.
Yeah.
So that's great for our county. Yeah, for sure.
Well, we appreciate it. I'm sure everybody has one of these. I got an extra one if you need one. Well, once again, I guess we'll do the scholarship presentation, but we got to go see y'all's counterparts in George County now. You want me to send any messages up there to them?
Tell them hello.
Yeah. Tell them
Well, look, we appreciate the opportunity. Once again, we appreciate the partnership that we've had for 40, 50 years. I don't even know how many years it's been, but we couldn't do it without y'all, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bean.
I want to thank Troy and Randy for volunteering in essence and putting some of their personal time into being on these two boards related, and appreciate y'all's contribution to it.
Thank you.
Okay, scholarships, who's presenting?
We've got them right here, so we'd all go down.
Let's go down.
We'll call. So we've got Ethan Driver, Ocean Springs. Y'all can come up and get him as we call. Sarah Gilman, Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College.
Okay.
Ashlyn Alexander.
Oh, yeah.
And then, there's a mom. Mom's here? And then Shaken All right, so we're gonna let y'all each go through and say what you're planning on going. I guess some are already in community college now, but we'll let you start with Chafin. Chapman.
I'm attending Mississippi Gulf Coast. I'll finish my last year at Gulf Coast this fall and the next spring. And next year I'll attend Southern Miss and get a degree in construction management. That's it.
I'm here to represent my daughter, Ashlyn Alexander. She just graduated from East Central High School, and she plans to go to Mississippi Gulf Coast to pursue a degree in business.
As of now, I'm going to Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, and later I will attend William Carey for pharmacy.
I'm attending Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, receiving my architectural and interior design degree, going to school for that.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Fantastic. All right.
So if you can come this way a little bit, because this one goes so far.
All right, congratulations. If you don't meet out there with your parents, I'm going to take some more pictures.
He's in Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now we're going to move on to the Mississippi Association of Supervisors, the Minority Caucus presentation.
I have a recipient, his name is Devon R.C. He's recipient of the Mississippi Association of Supervisors, Minority Caucus. Scholarship recipient. Thank you.
Do you want to say what your plans are?
I will be attending Alcorn State University to major in radiology.
All right.
I'm a class president.
Thank you. Good luck.
Yeah.
What are you now?
Second.
Second. I need to say that. Hey, speaking of MAS, Troy's got an announcement.
Troy, do you want to make an announcement about MAS?
Well, yeah, at MAS, I mean, that was one of those things I never really expected to do, but I've become the second vice president for the state organization, so which progressively moves to eventually becoming president. So really didn't see that path, but I've enjoyed it and liked it so far, and I think we can help the state make a difference. I think it'll help the county.
We're proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. And I was appointed to the legislative committee for the Mississippi Association of Supervisors also at the convention. So,
Great, great.
So, yeah. So I'll be representing us in Jackson.
Jackson County and Jackson, there we go. Okay, let's move to item number 7, amendments to the agenda. Mr. Morris?
No, I have him.
I have none. Mr. Ross?
None.
Mr. Bossard?
None.
Mr. Eldridge?
None.
Mr. Fulton?
No.
Mr. O'Neill?
None.
Mr. Calmer?
Mr. Taylor, I have 3 amendments. After executive session, or in executive session, one of the items is the disaster recovery consulting service proposal issue. There needs to be, or should be, on the agenda after that for open discussion. That same item, disaster recovery consulting service proposal, will come out of executive session and discuss that issue in open session.
Okay.
The second matter is under Port of Pascagoula. I believe that's maybe on consent agenda. Item B, resolution authorizing Kenneth E. Taylor, President, to sign an amended agreement sublease between Jackson County Port Authority and Gulf Lake Berthing. I believe the resolution that was included in the computer was mistakenly the wrong resolution. I have the correct resolution before me that I would like to swap out. That may be form over substance. But the third matter is another potential litigation. There was an accident on June 15 on Fairhaven Drive involving a road department employee, and that matter needs to be discussed in executive session.
Back in executive session. Okay, and the Port of Pascagoula, that's on page 4. Item B on the consent.
Yes, I believe it's a mistaken resolution that was attached in the computer, and I have the correct one with me.
Okay. Any others? Amendments to the agenda? If not, we'll need a motion and a second to accept the amendments to the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bossard, seconded by Mr. Morris. Is there any discussion, further discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We've approved the amendments to the agenda. We'll now move to item number 8, the general public comments. Is there anyone here who would like to speak publicly? No general public comments. Okay, so we'll move to item number 9, the consent agenda. We need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Motion to approve.
Mr. Morris, motion. I'll second it. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Item number 10 in the agenda is the consent agenda number 2. We note that Supervisor Ross is exiting the meeting. Need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Morris,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Bossarge. Discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Ross is returning to the meeting. So we'll now move to item number 11, the department heads. Mr. Fulton.
Well, the item I have is travel, both required and discretionary.
Got a motion by Mr. Morris. I will second it. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Finance, Ms. Welch.
Good morning. The item I have is the order approving the claims docket.
So moved.
Need a motion. We got a motion from Mr. Bossarge. We need a second. Seconded by Mr. Morris. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the second item I have is the resolution authorizing the interfund loans for fiscal year September 30th, 2023.
Need a motion and a second.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Ross. I will second it by Mr. Morris.
Sure.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Yes, ma'am.
And the last item I have is the resolution authorizing the operating transfers for fiscal year September 30th, 2023.
Okay, I'll make a motion on that. We need a second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Bossarge. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Ms. Krebs, Human Resources.
Good morning. The item I have before you is employee information.
So move.
Mr. Ross,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Morris. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have a couple of appeals coming up, and we've got to wait about 33 minutes before we take them up. So let's move to action items. Item 14. Mr.
Okay.
Let's see, state, federal?
Right. I don't really have a federal update today, but on the state side, just for your information, we provided additional information on 2 Restore Act projects over the last couple of weeks to the state for consideration. The first one was the Highway 609 Gateway project, and the second one was the Pascagoula River Blueway project. We probably will not know whether we receive Restore Act funding until towards the end of the year. There'll be an announcement on that. Secondly, we are working on additional information for the GCRF grant related to the Van Cleve Medical Clinic, and we're working on that. Got some information in over the weekend, actually, from the hospital system, and we'll be submitting that information this week to MDA as we work through that. And then lastly, the project applications are due to the DMR by the end of July for new Go Mesa projects that are funded through the state. And we'll be working to try to put some applications together for those. If you know of any projects that you would like to have considered for that as an application, let me know. And we'll be working with the road department and Matthew and the guys to develop those applications over the next month on that. And that is it.
Okay. On the Van Cleve Clinic, we own it, we will own it?
We do currently own the property, and that's there now. And we plan to retain that through the sale and spend the money building the new clinic, which is already under construction, and be reimbursed from the state by GCRF program to pay for those improvements. And so, yes, we own it now, and we will own it after the sale.
And we'll lease it to the hospital?
That's the plan.
Okay. Anything else? Questions? Nope. Let's move then to item number 15, supervisor items. Overall, there is a resolution appointing Gerald James, Jerry St. Pay to the Coastal Mississippi Board. I will make that motion. Need a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Ross. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Mr. Morris, do you have supervisor items?
Don't have anything.
I have none. Mr. Ross?
None.
Mr. Bossard?
None.
Okay. Do we want to go for 30 minutes into executive session? Okay. Then let's have a motion to determine if we need to have a closed session to determine if we have an executive session. Motion by Mr. Bossard, seconded by Mr. Morris. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
You're going back?
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Yeah, let's go to the back.
Yeah.
Back in regular session. I believe we may have to go back into executive session a little bit later, but we have some appeals and hearings that we've got to work with. The first one is a planning appeal, USEP-03-2023-00042, GST Capital Partners LLC use permit. So is there anyone here to address that? Marcus, go ahead.
Yes, sir. The appeal hearing for GST Capital Partners is a use permit to allow the construction of a 315-foot guided telecommunications tower. We're asking the board to dismiss this one because they didn't follow the appeal process and get all the required information turned in, so we're asking this to be dismissed.
Okay, we'll need then a motion to dismiss this one. And a second.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bossard, seconded by Mr. Morris. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
I think the next hearing is at 10:15.
10:15.
Yes, sir.
We have 8 minutes. Shall we sit for 8 minutes?
You had something that y'all needed to act on as far as one of the potential litigation items.
Mr. Taylor, I have a resolution for the board to consider hiring an outside accident reconstructionist with regard to an accident that occurred on June 15, 2023 on Fairhaven Drive in Jackson County when there was a motorcycle accident involving a road department tractor.
Okay, a motion to get a accident reconstruction. We need a motion and a second.
Just for clarification, Mr. Taylor, the accident reconstructionist is Mr. Tim Corbett, and the resolution places a $10,000 cap on fees and expenses for his services.
Okay, I'll make a motion. Need a second? Seconded by Mr. Ross. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay, any other things we can pick up? I don't see any. So we'll have a 6-minute break. I've got 10:15, so let's proceed with the agenda. We have a planning appeal scheduled, SPEC-03-2023-00045. Karen Hansen, a special exception.
Okay. On April the 19th, the Planning Commission heard the application of Carolyn Hanson of Narcar Investments Incorporated for a special exception. That's SPEC 03-2023-00045 to allow construction of a 12 by 25, a 300 square foot billboard and a 700 foot variance to the required 2,000 foot from another sign. The property is on C2 commercial. The north parcel is also C2. There's A1 South and R3 multifamily. The property size is 10.23 acres. It's a vacant parcel. It's not located in a flood zone. The north face of the sign was said to be digital, and the south side would be a static panel. There is another billboard located within 2,000 foot on the east side of the highway. But that's in the city of Goshen, that's jurisdiction, not Jackson County's jurisdiction. The planning department did recommend approval of the request on the basis that we didn't feel it would be injurious to the neighborhood, and also that the other billboard was in another jurisdiction. Planning Commission voted 4-1 to approve the request. The applicant is John Bowie, and I believe he's here today to represent the application. Come in? The appeal application. Yeah.
Good morning. My name is John Bowie. I'm trustee for one of the trustees for St. Paul United Methodist Church. We're right at the corner of 57 and Highway 90. As we'd indicated previously, which they signed, the applicant is required to, they bear the burden and they're required to present evidence that establishes that the application meets the following factors. Those factors were all laid out in the record of the decision made by the Planning Commission. There was no evidence provided whatsoever with regard to that. So from that point, we feel like, and others, we feel like the Planning Commission erred in their decision their vote and decision to recommend this to the Board of Supervisors for approval. They asked for special circumstances, and under the special circumstances, there are very specific requirements, and one of those they clearly did not meet, that the literal interpretation of the provisions of the ordinance would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the district. And they simply did not do that. The applicant did not provide that, nor did the Planning Commission ensure that it was done. Those are the primary reasons. There are others in the letter of appeal that you have, but those are the significant items. I appreciate your time.
We also did receive a letter from the City of Ocean Springs in opposition, also asking us not to approve the request because it was in the proposed annexation area. So just a little side note there. I believe there's somebody else here to speak for it.
Okay, we have anyone to speak for this item? Come forward, please. Your name and address for the record.
Yes, sir. Thank you. My name is Scott Gregory. I'm the local general manager for Lamar Advertising that's a partner with Karen Hansen on the project. The address is 10571 Outdoor Way, Gulfport 39503. Thanks for the opportunity to speak a little bit about this. At the April Planning Commission meeting, we had a very productive conversation about this project, and the Planning Commission did ultimately recommend approval. Just to highlight a few of those main points that we talked about in those meetings for you all, it's rare that Lamar comes forward with a landowner partner to build a new site. We don't like an overabundance of boards, and we only look to build those new sites when we start to see demand from businesses and organizations in the community. We knew about this site a few years ago and actually held off because we just didn't feel like there was interest at that point. However, in the past year or so, we've seen that interest develop from businesses in Jackson County, Ocean Springs, and organizations. We came to the Planning Commission and felt very confident that it fit well within the landscape. The special exception of C2 to C3 historically has been pretty common just because inherently there aren't a lot of differences between the two. And with the spacing, we only have 2 other small poster units on Highway 57. One that was mentioned is 1,300 feet to the north on the east side, which is actually City of Gautier, and one that's just south of I-10 on 57. So with the development opportunities on 57 and the interest, we felt like it was the right time and felt confident that it fit well. Just to speak on some of Mr. Bowie's objections, which we can certainly respect and talk very constructively about those, it seems like most of his objection from the start has been with the general process of a special exception or variance. And again, a C2 to C3 has traditionally been very common because there aren't a lot of differences. And that's something this board has done before and is the very essence of why we have a planning commission, so they can look at what makes sense and what still fits within the ordinance in these situations where they're not necessarily black and white and where positive development would be good. And I think we can all agree that eventually 57 will be developed, and that development, if it's done positively, will be a good thing for the county. Just to get ahead of some of the concerns Mr. Bowie has brought forward in the past, because he represents himself as speaking for St. Paul United Methodist Church as a member of the trustee committee. I also proactively have pointed out that the board, if this was a concern of the church, is 700 feet north, is separated by tree lines and a parcel in between, and would not even be visible from the church. And also, if there was any concern, because this was mentioned at one point about messaging, I made it a point to try to educate everyone on Lamar's self-imposed restriction policy, where we never place sensitive messages around any sort of sensitive location. So like churches, playgrounds, schools, rehabilitation facilities, we won't post any sensitive copies. So that means, alcohol, CBD, adult businesses, and so forth. Also, after our first encounter, I mentioned to Mr. Bowie, since the church came up, that Lamar always strives to be a good community partner, and so we're always offering PSA space to nonprofits, organizations, and government entities. And with the concerns that were brought forward from a member of the church, we made it a point to say, with this being a north-facing board that could actually be a directional opportunity for the church, we'd love the opportunity to actually partner with them and give them space on that, because we felt confident they could use it and it could honestly be a win-win, since typically a site like this has proven to be a good addition and fit well within the typical process of a special exception. I was under the impression initially, or had the concerns, that Mr. Bowie was speaking on behalf of the church congregation, and that concerned me. Just because churches are often our customers, and they use our boards, especially digital, a lot of the times to highlight events and holiday messages and services and so forth, and this would be in general proximity and could be a good opportunity. So I made it a point since our April meeting to reach out to other members and leaders within the church just to get their take and bring them up to speed on what the project was. And one active community leader in Ocean Springs and also another member of the administrative council at the church did not have the same opinion as Mr. Bowie, and actually called this a potential win-win and was confused as to why Mr. Bowie was still objecting to it, especially when we mentioned that it was something the church could use. I met with another leader on the staff, and this person said that the church actually wants and needs development to happen on Highway 57 in order for the area and the church to become more visible. And the person also pointed out that ironically, through the variance process, the church itself relied on variances originally to even be built on this property. So they felt confused as to why it was on that grounds where there was an objection. And then finally, we talked about a number of ways the church could use it to make it a win-win. And this person said that actually could fit well within the church's evangelical mission to use it for messages and events and things like that to raise awareness. So I know as humans, once we have an opinion, it's often hard for that opinion to change. And I fear that that may be why we're still here today with Mr. Bowie's opinion. There are people who are excited about this project. I feel like through the objection originally, it's led to a potential situation where we can partner with St. Paul to have a positive case of growth for Highway 57. I mentioned in our last meeting, we've got letters of support from the Ocean Springs Chamber of Commerce, Mississippi Coast Crime Stoppers, who uses our digital to highlight law enforcement messages, FEMA that uses our boards for evacuation routes in storms, and hurricane messages, because there's never any cost involved with it and they can change it so regularly. So they've become an important way for people to get messages out there. And from other churches that do business with us that have come forward and said, you know, we rely on this product to actually build our congregation and use it, and we've been a great partner to those. So I asked the Board of Supervisors to uphold the Planning Commission's recommendation for approval. I respect the objection that was brought forward by Mr. Bowie, but I do fully believe that through this could be a good partnership opportunity, and it will fit well within the landscape and accomplish those positive growth goals that we all have for 57 that are coming. So I can answer any questions too about the project, but otherwise just appreciate the opportunity to speak about it.
I have a couple of questions. The issues, I'd like to speak with Mr. Bowie in a moment, but the issues, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's multiple issues that he raised.
Yes, sir.
Could you speak to the legality of these issues if it ended up in a court of law?
Absolutely. So some of his objection is just the process of approving this in a C2, whereas the language says that they're allowed in C3. However, precedent historically is that the Planning Commission can weigh those projects that are brought forward, and if they work within harmony of the area and make sense and don't, you know, violate the spirit, and correct me if there's better language for this, of the ordinance, they can be approved. And that's why that process exists, to come before the Planning Commission, speak about it, and get a recommendation for approval and come to your board. Mr. Bowie mentions too in his application, I found some of this ironic because he said he's worried that the property value may decrease because if at some point they want their own billboard to be placed there, spacing would not allow for it. However, they would have the same spacing issues because there's another board within 500 feet and it's in close proximity to the intersection of 90 and 57, which becomes an MDOT issue as well. As far as some of the other arguments on not bringing forth, evidence as to why it should be considered, that's why we brought forward all this information to the Planning Commission as to why it fit within the harmony. We've got precedent that's allowed for the special exception from C2 to C3 and spacing. It's just why there is a process to ask for a special exception and variances, and those happen quite regularly if the commission sees fit. If there's anything else too, I'm happy to speak to that. I didn't have any concern with any of the objections brought forth.
A lot of the billboards that we have in Jackson County are in C2, and like he said, it is just our process to go through the special exception process because C3 is the only place in Jackson County, highway commercial, where billboards are allowed. All of Washington Avenue, the billboards on Washington Avenue are all C2. Those went through the special exception process. So it's a normal process that we go through.
So they said the directional facing of the sign would be northbound, north side would be digital. So to make sure I understand, does that mean if you're heading south, you will see a digital?
If you're heading south, you would see the digital. If you're heading north, it would just be a static poster unit, one of our smaller boards. That's correct.
I would like to ask Mr. Bowie, I see you used a letterhead, or at least it appears to be a letterhead of the church. Is this an official church objection, or is this your personal objection? Because I think I understand that in the United Methodist Church, either the church council or the administrative council deals more with the public on church happenings and policy. Is this an official appeal from the church?
Yes, sir, it is. It's an official appeal from the Board of Trustees. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. The chair of the trustees, as well as the other trustees, all asked me to do this on the church's behalf.
So you're saying the Board of Trustees voted on this?
Yes, correct.
Was it taken to your administrative council?
No, sir. Board of Trustees takes care of the properties.
Okay. Thank you.
And Marcus, I had a question too. The letter from the city, was that a board-approved letter, or was that?
It was a letter from the mayor.
Okay.
I believe that letter's in the packet. If not, I have a copy of it here for you. You're welcome to look at it.
So, I mean, do we know, I mean, did they make a resolution to authorize this, or did he?
Not that I'm aware of, actually, we just received that letter.
I think an independent letter from a mayor, or from me as president of the board with my signature, carries no weight as far as the county is concerned. I think that would be the same with the city, where you would have to have a majority of the aldermen to vote to allow the mayor to take a position for the city. So,
Yeah. Like, I don't feel like I could write a letter and say on behalf of Jackson County unless I have authorized approval from the board. Well, I wouldn't do it.
well, it's been done. Yeah. And as far as the church, I'm a member of the United Methodist Church, and normally either it's the administrative board or the church council, whichever it's called at the church, is the body that would make such an appeal or make such a statement. So while the trustees apparently voted on it, it tells me they did not take it to the higher level council to get their opinion. So my guess is this is not an official position of the St. Paul United Methodist Church, for whatever that's worth. Anything else? Okay, do we have anyone? Let's see, we've had against, we asked for 4. Do we have anyone that wants to speak either for or against this proposal? We do not, so then we've got to take some action. Let us be heard.
Marcus, how many of these variances have we done over the years as far as that are within the 2,000 square feet?
I'm sorry, I don't have a count of that, but we've done.
But we've done it.
Yes, sir, we have. Yeah.
I think more over in St. Martin area than anywhere, I believe. Isn't
I
it?
actually noticed the other day driving home that there is a billboard right across the street from the church on the Ocean Springs side.
Right.
And this billboard here that they're requesting is back here on this back parcel. The one on the front actually faces the church. It's right directly in front of where you turn in to go to the church.
If I'm not mistaken, the ones that are in a row in Goshen close to Highway 57, I believe that was the county back then that zoned all those signs, if I'm not mistaken, and those are within a couple of 100 feet of each other, so it's not like this hadn't been done before, you know, is what I'm saying.
2,000 feet, so that's a long way.
Yeah.
The board approved this 4-1?
Yes, sir. 4-1, they approved the sign.
And this is that smaller sign, it's not the real big sign, it's the smaller sign.
300 square feet.
Yeah, it's the smaller sign, so it's not like one of those long ones that are on Highway 90 right there.
I think the only difference is that, you know, this is a digital sign on the north side.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna make a motion that we uphold the planning commission's recommendation to approve the special exception. Now, that means that if that property's sold, the new owner has to either renew or the sign comes down?
That's correct.
All right.
Special exception are only good for the owner.
Yeah, and Ms. Hanson understands that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you ever sell the property, the new owner has to do this whole process again, or the sign has to come down.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Bossarge. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Ross. Any discussion, further discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank y'all very much.
And they can appeal it to the county court if he wants to.
Right.
You'll tell Mr. Bowie that?
Yeah, obviously, this can be appealed to county court. Where, circuit? Or
Circuit.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, minutes hearings now.
Okay, we are a few minutes late for our menace to public health and safety public hearing at 10:30. This property is at 16928 Highway 613 in Moss Point, Mississippi, 39562. The P number is 05060004.000.
Okay, the property that we have next is 16928 Highway 613. And this is for property cleanup only, not the structure itself, just the property cleanup. The owners are Willie and Donna Malone. The only address we had for them was this 16928 613. We did speak with his son, Scotty Malone, and he wanted to get the structure condemned. We did issue a citation for court. No one showed up for that. As you can see, there's rubbish, derelict vehicles all over the property. It's in terrible condition. We sent out menace letters, and we received nothing back on this property. And we were asking the board to clean up the property. The structure itself, you know, I didn't go in the structure. Around the sides of it didn't look like it was rotting or needed to be torn down. Of course, the son did ask for it to be condemned. We didn't go inside the structure, so I really couldn't make the determination that it needed to be removed, but the property definitely needs to be cleaned up. I did speak with Mr. Cumbus prior to the meeting, and he had talked with Larry Wall, and Larry Wall supposedly did a quitclaim deed on this property, and it hasn't been filed yet with the Chancery Court's office. That's why we haven't pulled this, but Mr. Wall says that he would like to clean it up. And Mr. Cumbus agrees to give him 30 days, and a 30-day extension on this, if the board allows.
How long is it gonna take him to get his quitclaim deed?
We were hoping we'd have it this past week, but he didn't submit it. So I would think that, from what I understand, everything's done. He just needs to have it recorded.
Yeah, Mr. Cumbus called me this morning and asked if you know, we could do the 30-day extension on it, I'm good with that.
Yeah, he spoke with Mr. Wall, and he, you know, he knows him well, and he feels that he'll do the right thing and clean it up. There again, you know, the board could always declare it, and he's got plenty of time in between. However the board wants to act on that, but Mr. Cummins did ask me to, you know, present to the board for them to give him a 30-day extension.
Okay.
All right,
Motion?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
You want to check to see if anybody's here for this?
Oh, yeah.
This,
I'm sorry.
minutes?
Anyone here that would like to speak either for or against this action? No one for or against? Okay, so we have a motion from, was it Mr. Bossard, seconded by Mr. Morris?
And what was the motion, Mr. Taylor?
Give me extension.
Give me a 30-day.
30-day extension?
Yes.
And would that automatically be declared a menace if it's not done within 30 days, or would you like me to bring it back?
Bring it back.
Okay.
Okay, so we're not gonna declare the minutes today, we're gonna bring it back in 30
30
days.
days, correct.
Yes, sir.
And that's what the motion is?
Yep, that's what the motion is.
Okay.
So all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you. The second menace to public health, let's see, 10:35, we're okay time-wise. 10-920 Sarsiana Road, Moss Point, Mississippi, 39562, PIN number 054-37327.000.
Okay, the next minutes we have at 10-920 Saracena Road. The owner is Lance Clark. The only address we had for him was 10-920 Saracena. We've had no correspondence. This house is dilapidated. There's rubbish all on the property. We've sent out letters. We've had no response back from this person, so we're bringing it to the board to declare a menace so we can get it cleaned up. As you can see from the pictures, this house is in unfixable condition. So we need to get it removed. We've had a lot of complaints from the neighbors. And we're asking the board to declare it a menace so we can clean the house and the property.
Looks like it had a blue roof once upon a time.
Yeah, there's not much roof left on this thing.
Okay, is there anyone here who would like to speak for this property? Is there anyone here who would like to speak against the property, the issue with the property?
Also, Mr. Taylor, the taxes have been sold on this property for the last 3 years.
Okay, say that again?
The taxes have been sold on this property for the last 3 years.
Okay.
So the owner has not paid the taxes. It's been sold to other people.
All right, I make a motion to declare that property a menace to public health and safety.
Okay, I'll second it. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank y'all. And we're right on schedule for our final one. 6001 Beach Bayou Avenue in Biloxi, Mississippi, 39532. PIDN number is 0361638.000.
Thank you. Gee, that's a boatyard.
This next property at 6001 Beach Bayou Avenue in Biloxi, the owner is Richard, and that's the only address we had for him was 6001 Beach Avenue. We've had no correspondence with the applicant. Of course, we have been to the property. We did a warrant to enter the property. They kept it locked. It's kind of like a little fortress. They had a big, huge fence around it. They kept it locked, and when we entered it, there were 4 or 5 camper trailers with people living in them. And as you can see from the aerial on the first picture, the property was just totally junked up. Looked like they were scrapping and doing all kinds of stuff on the property. Once we issued the warrant and went out with the sheriff's department, we posted the signs that we were declaring it a menace. Of course, this area isn't a special flood hazard area, so that puts the county in jeopardy of our flood ordinance, also violations with MEMA. After we posted the signs, they did start cleaning the property. They took the camper trailers off, moved, I guess, the things that they wanted to sell or keep. But there's still a lot of structures on the property that have been left. So we'd like to get that cleaned up. They'll probably never show back up to do anything else with it. But this is one of the rare ones that once we posted it and they knew they were going to lose their stuff, that they actually cleaned up some. So we're asking the board to declare this a menace so we can get the rest of the property cleaned up. We've got a lot of homeless people living in that area, and this was one of those places where they just seem to congregate. And
Is this over at St. Martin, close to the Back Bay?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, how do they congregate if it's locked up? Holes in the fence? How do homeless congregate there?
They had a big chain on it where they kept it gated, and they had signs all around, but they had their little group in there. I don't know, I guess they,
It looks like they might have built the fence.
Yeah.
They did. And then nothing out on this property was permitted, and, we've had a lot of complaints from the neighbors, and, of course, we went out and we were just, they wouldn't let us in. Of course,
Sheriff's office run any VIN numbers or anything out there while they were there? I would have.
They went through all the structures when we were there. I mean, it's really something to see when they go through it. We're just looking at it for structural purposes and that type of thing, and living conditions, and they're looking for other things. So.
Okay, is anyone here to speak for or against this item? If not, let's let the Board of Supervisors.
I'll make a motion to declare it a menace.
Motion by Mr. Ross,
I'll second that.
seconded by Mr. Bossarge. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, that's all we had.
Was there any power out there anywhere, or was it not even any power?
There was power pole out there. They had 4 or 5 campers out there, and just the way that they lived was just something else.
Okay, I believe we had the need to return to executive session. So we'll need a motion to determine if we need to go into closed session, to determine if we need to have an executive session.
Mr. Taylor, with
Yep.
regard to the disaster recovery consulting services proposal.
Okay.
Make a vote on that, wasn't it?
Okay, got a motion from Mr. Morris. I'll second. No discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Let's go back to our executive session. Okay, we are back in regular session. Do we need?
We're on, we're on.
We're on?
Yep, go.
We're good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
There was no action taken in executive session.
Okay, Mr. Taylor, may I?
Sure.
All right, I had asked that this matter be put on the agenda for discussion, and let me lay out the facts and ask Mr. Eldridge to comment as appropriate on anything that I may leave out. This board had previously gone out for proposals for disaster recovery consulting services, and a request for proposals was previously approved and put out to the public. There were proposals received. The advertisement required that proposals be received on or before 12 p.m. Central Time on May 30, 2023. They could either be mailed to our P.O. Box or hand-delivered to Chancery Clerk Josh Eldridge, 2915 Caney Street, Suite R in Pascagoula. There was a proposal that was delivered to Mr. Eldridge's office. It was delivered to his office over at the courthouse. It was delivered at 10 a.m. on May 30, 2023, approximately 2 hours prior to the deadline for them to be delivered. What happened was the proposal, when delivered, was delivered to one of Mr. Eldridge's supervisors, Carol Whitfield. Ms. Whitfield apparently gave the proposal to a deputy clerk by the name of Savannah Collins. And I have an affidavit of Ms. Collins that I want to spread on the minutes. And Ms. Collins, and I'm paraphrasing her affidavit, said that she received this sealed proposal from Ms. Whitfield approximately 10 a.m. With the request that it be delivered to the Chancery Clerk's office in this building. The package was in fact addressed to Josh Eldridge, Chancery Clerk, 2915 Caney Street, Suite R, Pascagoula, Mississippi. So the proposal was properly addressed. Miss Collins did not know what the contents of the package were. She did deliver the proposal to Mr. Eldridge's office in this building, and it was sometime after 1 p.m. The proposal for the disaster recovery consulting services, Mr. Eldridge, as I understand, has still not been opened. It is still sealed, and it has been since it was delivered at 10 a.m. on the 30th day of May. This is a request for proposals. It is not a bid. If you look at the legal opinions from the Attorney General and some case law as it relates to bids, there are 4 criteria for waiving irregularities. One is, and again, we're talking about bids, not proposals, but the bid does not violate any mandatory statutory provisions. I'm not aware of any mandatory statutory provisions on this particular proposal. The other 3 are, number 2 is it does not in any way destroy the competitive character of the bid. Number 3 has no effect on the amount of the bid. Number 4 does not give one bidder an advantage or benefit over another bidder. So I don't think there's any question that this bid that was delivered did not have any advantage over any of the other bids, because it was in fact delivered and in our possession, in the county's possession, at 10 a.m., 2 hours before the deadline. So that bid did not give an advantage over any of the other bids that were delivered to this building. So it was my opinion that this irregularity was an irregularity for the Board of Supervisors to consider whether or not they, you gentlemen, wish to waive this irregularity. It was delivered to the Chancery Clerk. It was delivered timely. It remained sealed. It was not delivered to the correct Chancery Clerk office. And those are basically the facts of what we're dealing with. Mr. Elder, do I stated that correctly?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, if the proposal was delivered straight to this office after 12 o'clock on the 30th, I don't think there would be any question that it could not be accepted because it would have been late. So, again, I think that it's something that this board, in its discretion, this irregularity could be waived, but it's up to this board and not to the legal department to make that call.
Okay, board? I'll start by making a motion that we waiver the rule.
The irregularity.
The irregularity, and if there's a second, let's hear that, and then we'll discuss it.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Bossart. Okay, any discussion? I heard someone say we might need to put a sign up somewhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, that definitely would be a help to remedy it in the future.
That's because our Chancery Clerk has so many offices, right? Right. Okay, well, is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Good. I believe that's all of our business today, and I think we need to recess. July the 3rd is the first Monday. It is not a holiday. That is correct? That's what we've been told. So we will meet July the 3rd, so we need a motion to recess, to adjourn until July the 3rd at 9 a.m.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Morris, need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bossarge. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you all for a long morning, and our audience, it is still here.